Join UF Hall of Famer and 14-year NFL vet Shane Matthews every weekday as he brings you all you need to know about your Florida Gators, including news, analysis, and opinions with some of the biggest names in sports. Find us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Or watch us live at 8 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter.
Good morning. Welcome to a Thursday edition of the program, PodUp with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. It's Thursday. You know what that means. We got our college football analyst, Heisman Trophy voter Brent Beaird. Second portion of today's program, we have the Baker Sporting Goods High School Roundup with baseball and softball winding down. We'll get clarification from Mike Ridaught from the PrepZone.com and Main Street Daily News about that new FHSAA rule that came about. If you missed it last night, which I fell asleep, Gators, Ryle hits a bomb, walk-off 3-run homer. Gators advance. They play Vanderbilt tonight. It's supposed to start at 8:30. That means it'll start about 10:30, quite honestly. Heat try to wrap up the series tonight against the Celtics. And congratulations to the Florida Panthers. Boy, are they playing some good hockey. They sweep the Carolina Hurricanes. They are in the Stanley Cup Finals. Let's go to the Titan More Hotline. We're joined by our college football analyst, Brent Beaird. You can follow Brent on Twitter at Brent Beaird. Good morning, Brent. How you doing, bud?
Well, I'm doing okay. I'm excited for two reasons. One is I have a preseason college football magazine in my hand. And number two, looking at the weather for this weekend here in Jacksonville. Now, this is amazing. They ought to go ahead and just declare this a state holiday. The high here Saturday is 74, and the low is 56.
My goodness. So, having said that, so what's Brent Beaird going to be doing? Are you going to play golf? Are you going to take a jog on the beach? What are you going to be doing?
I don't know. I'm so stunned about that it would be that comfortable near the month of June. I almost don't know what to say. So, but we'll find something and enjoy it. But if nothing else, let's open the windows and turn the air conditioner off.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Andy has a comment here on Facebook Live brought to you by Mellon Law to kick off the program. Says, Shane, do you think Michael Robertson will be practicing his bunting today? Sully relentlessly berated the kid after he had that first failed bunt attempt. I did not see that. I saw people talking about it on Twitter. I was flipping around the channels, because baseball sometimes can kind of get boring. Or commercials, I'll flip over, watch something else, and I missed that. But good win for him. Yeah, that's the thing. You got to be able to bunt, do your job. Obviously, you didn't get it done. And supposedly Sully went crazy, but I wish I could see it. I love it when Sully gets fired up. Brent, looks like, at least for 2 more years, Gators and Dogs will be playing at the Gator Bowl.
Yeah, really elated to see this. The contract for Florida, Georgia ends after this year's game, but there was an option to pick it up for 2 more years, and that is what happened. So hopefully there will be some maneuvering between now and then to be able to keep it here. Now, again, when you really realize what these two teams get, in the current contract, they will get $1.5 million. In 24 and 25, they get all the travel and lodging expenses paid. That includes airfare for Georgia and bus travel for the Gators. They split the ticket revenue. They receive a $400,000 stipend for a reduced capacity seating arrangement, and they also receive a percentage of alcohol sales. Now, altogether, each school will get about $5 million a year, as opposed for getting about much less than that for even home and home. I still believe, Shane, that, and hopefully they will, that Jacksonville will basically overpay for the game and I think they'll keep it here because, frankly, still, it's amazing how much that both teams get for the game. So that is the latest. So Florida and Georgia will be here for the next 3 years at least.
Brent, yeah, my internet's acting up again. Man, I'm your athlon
Yes.
magazines. You're like a kid in a candy. I just remember the days kid used to get the Athlon magazine. I would flip to the cheerleading section all the time. Do they still put the cheerleaders in there, Brent?
Let's see. No, this is just straight football stuff right now. Now, Lindy's may have the cheerleaders in it, and it's coming out either this week or next week. But Athlon is on the shelves, so we're quite happy to be able to see that. And I'll hit some of the highlights real quick. Your college football playoff 4, according to Athlon: Georgia, Michigan, Alabama, and Southern Cal. I'm not sure about Southern Cal and their defense being in the playoffs. Eastern Division: Georgia, Tennessee, Kentucky, South Carolina, Florida, Missouri, and Vandy. Bama, LSU, A&M, Ole Miss, Arkansas, Mississippi State, and Auburn. For the ACC, does this surprise you at all, I wonder? Florida State, Clemson, North Carolina, Miami, Duke, Pitt, Louisville on that one. So your top 25, I'll hit some of the highlights. We mentioned the top 4. Ohio State, LSU, Florida State, Penn State, Washington, and Utah. Boy, a lot of Pac-12 teams in there in the chain.
Mm-hmm.
Texas, Clemson, Oregon, Notre Dame, 14. Tennessee, 15. Kansas State, 18. A&M, 20. Ole Miss, 21. I'm not sure they've got the defense to do that, although they made some pretty good moves. TCU, UCLA, and North Carolina. So I know that was quick, but just some of the highlights from Athlon preseason magazine.
Yeah, what's an Athlon magazine cost these days?
It runs $12.95.
Wow.
Yeah, and look, Phil Steele will be probably between $20 and $25.
That's crazy. That is good. Now Phil Steele puts so much damn information in there. It'll have your head spinning.
Well, his comes out. It will be on the stands by July the 4th. Now you've got to have a magnifying glass to read it, but he does an incredible job, frankly, and he will be a little more accurate than Athlon and Lindy's. Shane, I've always said that your best college football magazine would come out about 2 weeks in the middle of August, but the problem is by then everybody's got one or more, and I don't know if they would buy it that late, but it'd be more accurate.
It would, but I mean that would be ideal if you were in that business to do that, because
yes,
I guarantee you, a lot of the kids that are listed in that Lindy's magazine you got, or Athlon's, they've transferred by now.
You're right. Absolutely.
Yeah. Speaking of that, Joey Gatewood is now transferring again to his 4th school.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just amazing. I mean, he is, he's been to Auburn, he's been to Kentucky, he has been to UCF, and now he's at Louisville. Now, Joey Gatewood is 6'5", and he's all of it too. I mean, obviously he's a big kid, but Joey Gatewood was never a really good quarterback. He was at Bartram Trail in the Jacksonville area. I remember covering a playoff game with Gatewood playing, and they played Clay High, and it went into overtime. And Shane, it was something. It was a basketball score. It was something akin to like 73-72. But he was almost impossible to stop. But again, I'd be curious your take on this. But he never was really going to be a great college quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
He was the best athlete on the team. He was bigger, stronger, faster than anyone, obviously, in high school. So he stuck at quarterback for a while. It never really worked. So he tried to be a wide receiver at UCF. Now he's going to be a tight end at Louisville. And Shane, at some point, I think for guys, and not just Joey, and we wish him success, but the reality is you need to kind of stay somewhere and stay in one position and just see if it works.
Yeah, he's got to be running out of eligibility too, and I believe he's going to play
Yes.
tight end at Louisville. I coached against him when he was at Bartram Trail, and he was the best athlete on the field, but I knew he was never going to be a quarterback.
Right.
Could not throw it well enough. Of course, he threw it hard and far, but he was just a good athlete. So yeah, there's no way he plays quarterback for Jeff Brom in that system. So we do wish him well, but he's got to be coming to the end of his eligibility at some point. We talked about this the last couple of days on my show, Brent. The hardest college football schedules of 2023 per ESPN. Again, I know they have all these different people have these formulas that they do this by, but I just don't see it with the Florida Gators. Ole Miss is number 1, and Minnesota's 2, and Florida's at 3. Am I crazy maybe we do have a hard schedule and I'm just living in la la land.
Well, I think people are looking at Utah and they're looking at the SEC schedule with Arkansas thrown in there too. And I think that's where probably a lot of that comes from. But that's pretty much what you're seeing right now among the people who are predicting these schedules. That Florida is indeed has one of the hardest schedules in the nation.
But maybe I'm crazy, but didn't Arkansas have only win 6 or 7 games last year?
They did. They also had a really ridiculous non-conference schedule.
Yeah.
But to your point, Arkansas was basically a 500 team last year, and the question is going to be, are they going to be better this year than a 500 team? That remains seen. Now, KJ Jefferson comes back. They're basically rebuilding this defense. So your point's well taken. Arkansas is not going to win 10 games or anything like that. I would agree. And Tennessee's in there too. And as you and I've talked about, Tennessee's got to get significantly better also on defense. So, but again, guys put this stuff in there to do what you and I are doing, which is to talk about it.
Yeah, for sure. There's no question. Andy says here on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mellon Law. Brent, DraftKings has Tennessee a 9.5-point favorite in the Swamp. How can that be with Milton at QB? Andy, I agree 100,000%. I bet you Tennessee is no more than a 3 or 4 point favorite when they come to Florida, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And again, it's what we said a minute ago. You've got Joe Milton, who's got a strong arm. He can throw it all over the field, but how accurate is he going to be? And I don't have any doubt again that they'll be able to put up points with Josh Heupel's system. But again, and I know we're beating the drum here, but I'm just not convinced that they're going to be that better defensively. They've got some nice players defensively too, but the reality is these are just guesses at that point. So, and again, they start with Virginia and Austin Peay before they play Florida. So that's who they're warming up against, and they will have an easy time with both of them. They may get more of a test from Austin Peay than they do from Virginia.
Yeah, some of the lines from DraftKings you have listed here for week one. By this line, they're assuming that Cam Rising is going to be the quarterback.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I don't think there's any doubt about that, and that's still in doubt. Well, we don't know that. They think he will, but we will see. And also, I think the biggest one of these is LSU -2 over Florida State. So what you've got there basically is a pick'em game because both those teams will be in the top 10. I don't think they'll be in the top 5, but I'll also say I still look, that they will be better. I understand why they're going to be in the top 10, but I still think LSU has a better roster than Florida State does.
Oh, I agree totally with that. I'm living in La La Land again, Brent, but I just think LSU is so much better than Florida State. It's not even funny. Let's talk real quick. You sent me the first team and offense and defense that Athlon has listed. Anything surprise you on that?
Not really. I mean, it's obviously we knew situations like Brock Bowers at tight end. That's a no-brainer at this point. KJ Jefferson was the quarterback. I thought that was a bit interesting. Now, Quishon Johnson from Ole Miss and Rocket Sanders from Arkansas probably are the two best backs. And Nia Smith all-purpose, I get that. Also, first-team defense, Mason Smith of LSU in there. Wingo in LSU is in there. Harold Perkins from LSU is in there. You see a pattern there already. Only two Georgia players, Mikael Williams, defensive lineman, and Jamin Dumas Johnson also in there. So you go to the second team here. And still no Gators in there is what I'm looking for. So,
right.
But again, I mean, did you catch that too, Chase?
Well,
Will Rogers is the quarterback for the second team.
Yeah, no Gators, as you said, but no Gators were on first or second team last year after media days either. I think we had a couple on third team. So we'll see. The conference, I didn't realize this until I read it. Why is the Big Ten paying out more money than the SEC, Brent?
Well, they've got a new deal that's $1 billion for their media rights now, and they're still trying to nail that down. Frankly, Kevin Warren is their previous commissioner really did them no favors with this deal. He caused them some real problems, causing them to have to give some money back in the deal too. Kevin Warren was one of the worst commissioners there's ever been in college football. He's with the Bears now, but yes, the Big Ten, $58 million per school, the SEC $49 million per school, and then you see the ACC. That's around 37 to 40, and Man Live, and you look at the Pac-12 bringing up the rear at 37 million per school, and you can see why they've got some problems there. Also, now look, these numbers are going to be short-lived because once the playoffs start next year and expansion goes into vogue here, these numbers are going from about 50 and 60 million to the Big Ten giving out probably 80, 90, or 100 million per year, okay? Per year, per school. How about that?
That's crazy. Ruse Ogre State Farm Office is a team of dedicated insurance professionals ready to have life go right with the right insurance options for you and your family. Visit ogreinsurance.com. Give them a call at 352-240-1779. Speaking with Brent Beaird here on the Titan More Hotline. Brent, let's go around the league. anything coming out of Tuscaloosa right now?
Yeah, they did get a big pickup, and they needed this on the defensive line from Birmingham Parker, Jeremiah Beeman, 6'3", 250. That is I think he's more of a rush in at this point. So that, I think that's the biggest thing. The other biggest thing was Nick Saban and his wife being over in Rome, Italy, and people running into him over there and snapping pictures of him. So he's back from the trip, but he said he enjoyed it and got a lot of roll tides over in Rome. How about that, Shane?
That is funny. The Hog, Sam Pittman, he's done a great job there, but there's also the Arkansas faithful that aren't real happy, saying that he's on the hot seat this year. We'll see about that. But what's going on in Fayetteville?
Yeah, I don't think he's on the hot seat. Now they don't need another 500 necessarily, but I think he's pretty safe. Their latest, they got a kid from Coffeyville, Kansas, a JUCO. People may remember that name from the past. 6'3", 310, and this is Amari Wiggins. So, and Pittman said, and he's lived up to it, that they were going to do all they could to add to the offensive line the next 2 years, and they have done that. And by the way, people may forget about this, but Joshua Braun, former Florida Gator offensive lineman, is also at Arkansas.
Yes, he is. The Auburn Tigers have had some issues. They've done well in the transfer portal, but they got their running back may be suspended. Yeah,
they may have some others too. Now, look, there's been very little out about this, and I'll give credit here where it's due, and that's from Outkick. But there's also been some other people reported this, that Jarquez Hunter, they're and really one of the better running backs in the league. That a video of Hunter and other players, it was a sex video, is kind of came on the scene, so they're trying to deal with that, and but nothing really that's come out about that, and I'm sure that probably won't. So that is going on. Well, we don't know about suspensions. We don't know who's involved, but Hunter has been thought to be involved with that. Some other reports. Now they've had a lot of wide receivers. I think they've got like a dozen wide receivers. The latest is Shane Hooks from Jackson State, 6'4" receiver. I don't know how many 6'4" receivers that you were able to throw to, Shane, but I'm guessing a 6'4" receiver makes a quarterback's job easier.
As long as he has good ball skills. There's a lot of 6'4". There's a lot of 6'4" dudes that can't catch, Brent.
Yep, so, you're probably right. I'm sure.
We got a text here on the Titan Mark text line from George, and it kind of pertains to the Gators and what we're going to talk about here. He says, Shane, what are you hearing about the quarterback reclassifying Austin Simmons? Well, I was going to let Brent chime in about what he's heard here with the Florida Gators.
Well, Billy Napier at some of the Gator clubs has still mentioned that they want to add a fourth scholarship quarterback, and one of the possibilities for that is Austin Simmons. He's a four-star. He's class of 2025, but there is, and I'm not saying this is going to happen, but there are some reports out there about, well, could he possibly reclassify for 2023? So a really tremendous player, 6'3", 202. He's a left-hander from Pahokee also. Shane is also a left-handed pitcher, throws 95, so you've got to play that into consideration too. So that's a possibility. And look, let's be honest, there aren't a lot of quarterbacks out there still in the portal. There are some. Now, FIU lineman Lendell Hudson, I understand, has signed with Florida. 2-year starter at FIU, 6'5", 318. Shane, he's got an 87-inch wingspan. How about that?
Wow. Yeah, the whole Austin Simmons thing is interesting to me because, first of all, 2025. So that means he's got to be about 15 or 16 years old right now, right,
Yep.
Brent?
Yeah, right.
And I just can't. Well, first of all, even if he enrolls this week here at Florida, I don't think he takes a snap for the Gators. I just don't see that's happening.
Sure.
Plus, at that age, playing against these grown men in the SEC, I don't know. That's a little concerning to me. I don't think people think about that because that is very, very well. It says right here he's 17 years old.
Yeah.
And still have okay. So he was probably held back, or so if he's a 2025 and he's 17, he's pretty old.
Yeah.
He's pretty old. I mean, I came to campus when I was 17. I turned 18 my freshman year. So anyway, we'll see what happens there. But I don't. They may add him, but I don't see him playing this year. The Dogs have another guy that got arrested.
Yeah, unfortunately, a wide receiver, Marcus Rosemead-Jacksaint, was arrested. This is speeding and reckless driving again, driving 90 miles an hour in a 45-mile zone in a black Dodge Charger. So I'm sure that can get up and go. So they're dealing with another issue here. Now, look, this may be part of the unintended consequences of NIL. If you're that young and you got that money, what's one of the first things you're going to get is probably a fast car. So that may be what's involved here. But the reality is, I mean, they've just had way too many players at this point who've been involved with speeding and car issues. So that's just unbelievable. By the way, they had a commitment from Elijah Melendez, a 4-star linebacker. I put this in here, Shane, because when he made the announcement, he said he celebrated by barking like a dog. When I got the offer, I was in the lunchroom. He got an offer. He didn't commit yet. But he said he was in the lunchroom with his teammates, and we all started barking like dogs. So I'm sure our audience can appreciate that.
Yeah. What's coming out of Baton Rouge right now?
Mason Smith, who's as good, or maybe even better, believe it or not, than Harold Perkins on the LSU defense, has come out and said that he has been fully cleared. Remember, he tore his ACL in the first game last year in the FSU game. He's 6'6", from Louisiana. So he is ready to go. Now, I have heard LSU beat writers say, and this is with Jaden Daniels and all the athletes they've got on LSU, that Mason Smith is the best player on the entire team.
Wow.
That's a mouthful, but that is how good this kid is. LSU also got a commitment. Andre Sam has committed to them, 53 tackles, 5 for loss. So he will help their defense at some point.
Yeah, Ole Miss has gotten a lot of guys in the transfer portals. They do year in and year out. Do you think they can? I mean, we know Ole Miss is going to be pretty good offensively, but defensively, I think they're going to be just awful. Have they added any good players, do you think, Brent, on that side of the ball?
They've added Georgia Tech defensive lineman Akilo Stone earlier this month. They've also got a commitment from Nebraska transfer Stephon Wynn, who also played at Alabama, and they also got a transfer from James Madison, defensive end Isaac Ukwa, who has come in. So, look, to your question, and it's a good question, I've got a friend who works with the Ole Miss network, and he's told me that the defense is just horrendous. So hopefully these guys will help them somehow. And again, we need to remember former Alabama defense coordinator Pete Golding is the Ole Miss D coordinator. So can he get that group playing better? That's a good question.
Yeah, Brent, time went by way too fast. Give us some nuggets before we get you out of here.
South Carolina, they've got a freshman enrollee, Cameron Upshaw from Garden City Community College. Tennessee is really high on Arian Carter, defensive end. They think he's going to help them defensively. And again, I think the big thing with the ACC real quick is what are they going to do about this media rights that goes through 2036? And I think the latest thing is they're going to kind of shift around the money to some degree and be able to give more of the money to the top teams who are not happy, including Clemson and Florida State. But I don't know if they'll ever challenge this in court, but that's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah. Brent, great stuff as always. Enjoy that cool weather this weekend in Jacksonville. Don't hurt yourself exercising or whatever you're going to be doing outside, my man. And we'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, Shane. Always enjoy it, bud. Take care.
And that's Brent Beaird joining us on the Titan More Hotline. Take a quick time out. We're going to come back, talk a little high school sports on the Baker Sporting Goods High School Roundup with our good friend Mike Ridaught, who does a tremendous job of covering high school sports. You're watching and listening to PodUp Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. We'll be right back.
We want to take this moment to thank our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, the only official injury and accident law attorneys of the Florida Gators. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise.
Campus USA Credit Union.
QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Dave & Buster's, eat, drink, play, and watch. Our gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Celebration Point Town Center, Chris Doring Mortgage, Silverback Concrete Co., Ruse Ogre State Farm Insurance, Doreen Wibby, Realtor Caldwell Banker, MM Parish. Our touchdown sponsors are Adams Ribs, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Okido America, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Big Mills Cheesesteak, McDonald's of Gainesville, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, Aver and Smith, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, Silver Q Billiards and Sports Bar. If you're interested in promoting your business on the show, call Freddie at 352-284-3733. If you like what we're doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Steve Spurrier here. You know, making a reservation at my restaurant is easier than a Saturday afternoon homecoming game against Vandy. You don't have to call or email. Just go to spurriers.com, hit the reservation button, pick a date, a number of guests, and a time. It's so simple, I can do it. In fact, I just did. Maybe I'll see you tonight.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Celebration points where the Gators go to celebrate with premium brands like Regal Cinemas, The Keys, Dave & Buster's, Palmetto Moon, Starbucks, Visor's Rooftop, and the HBC's restaurant Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. We'll see you at Celebration Point where the Gators go to celebrate. We're going to head to the Titan More Hotline now. We're joined by Mike Ridaught from the Main Street Daily News and the PrepZone.com, who does a phenomenal job covering high school sports. Good morning, Mike. How you doing, my man?
Very good. Thank you, Shane. Kind of winding down the sports year.
Yes, indeed. You're now able to get some rest. I know you've been hot and heavy on the go, especially with high school baseball and softball. Just kind of give us a recap of kind of the area, North Central Florida teams, the Jacksonville teams. Had a couple of teams make some runs, just came up a little bit short. Now, a few won them. But just tell us, just give us a recap.
All right, so we'll start with softball. yesterday, the Brantford softball team, they were playing in their first ever state championship game. They actually were playing in the championship on Tuesday. It was about a 4-hour game that had 2 lightning delays, and then they finally moved the game to Wednesday morning. Brantford had knocked off defending state champion Jay 2-1 in the state semifinals to advance. Liberty County beat Dixie County, which was in its second straight state semifinal. And Liberty County hits a 3-run homer in the 5th inning yesterday, Shane, to beat Brantford 7-4. That was the second state title for Liberty County, the first since 2013. University Christian, you mentioned Jacksonville. They won their first state title. They had been to the Final Four losses in 21 and 22, but they finally get it done. They beat Evangelical Christian 3-2 to win their first state title in school history. They finished the year 23-2. The softball state tournament is still going on. It will run through Saturday. I guess probably one of the more interesting matchups, Shane, not in our area, but Pace High School is ranked number 1 overall in Florida. They're ranked number 3 in the country by Max Preps at 27-1. They are playing in one Class 6A state semifinal. Bartow, which is the number 4 overall team in Florida, is playing in the other semifinal against Doral Academy. So if those two teams match up, would be a heck of a state championship game. As far as high school baseball, we are officially done with baseball. This area did have a state Final Four participant as Newberry advanced back to the Final Four. They won the state title, won a state title a couple of years ago, but lost in extra innings to Chipley 1-0. Chipley went on to beat Lafayette, which was kind of a surprise. I thought Lafayette would win that game, but Chipley won their first state title in program history. Interesting note, Shane, and I wrote about this at MainStreetDailyNews.com. For our coverage area at Main Street Daily News, Newberry's Final Four appearance marked the 3rd consecutive school year that an area team from our area has advanced to the state semifinals or the Final Four. You go all the way back to the 2020-2021 year when Hawthorne's football team made it to the Final Four. They ended up playing the state championship game. The Santa Fe basketball team was in the Final Four that year, actually lost in the state championship game. And as I mentioned, Newberry won the state title. So that's pretty impressive. 3 straight school years that we've had an area team in the 3 biggest sports: football, boys basketball, and baseball. So that's pretty impressive there. But also in high school baseball, St. John's Country Day out of Orange Park got beat in the 2A final by Lakeland Christian. Let's see some of the other ones. How about North Marion? North Marion won their first state title in baseball. They finished 27-5. They've got a U.S. signee and Hunter Jones, but it's really been all about Cooper Jones. Cooper Jones with 14 home runs this year. Congratulations to Dale Hall and the North Marion Colts. Carson Lindsay threw a 1-hitter in that state championship win against Bishop Kenny to win the 4A state title. And I guess here's another interesting story, not in our area, Shane, but Stoneman Douglas down in South Florida. They finished undefeated. They went 29-0. They're ranked number 2 in the country, 35 home runs this year. They've got a pitching staff, 0.81 ERA, and they crushed Tampa Plant 10-0 to win the 7A state championship.
Wow, that's impressive. Buholtz had a tremendous run this year under Ron Brooks. Same way with Tommy Bond and Trinity Catholic. They both came up just a little bit short. Andy says here on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mellon Law. Mike, great job on your softball coverage this season. Disappointing that Brantford was not able to finish off Liberty County in the 1A state championship game. You've done a great job. Spring football is kind of winding up. There's still some games to be played in spring football, right, Mike?
Yeah, I'm going to cover Oak Hall's game. They're playing at home tonight against Impact Christian out of Jacksonville. Buholtz is playing over in Stark against Bradford. Hawthorne is supposed to have their intra-squad spring game. Williston is hosting Green Coast Springs Play. So we're kind of winding up the high school football season. I did go cover the Newberry game against Gainesville. That was the first game as head coach for Ian Scott. But I came away impressed with the Newberry football team because of their quarterback, Kill McGriff. I mean, he started first play of the game, Shane. He throws a 43-yard pass to Ty Moses. Both of those guys are sophomores. And even though it was just a 10-7 game at the half, I mean, they left some points out there. They kind of made some mistakes. So, again, I really came away impressed with Newberry, and I think they're going to have a pretty good year this year. because of that offense. McGriff threw for right at 200 yards in the first half alone.
Oh, we got a text here from William on the Titan MR text line. Wanted to know, he never saw any type of updates on the PK Young St. Francis spring game.
Yeah, unfortunately, he had a conflict. I wasn't able to attend that game. I believe PK Young won that one 23-0. You know, it was a situation where, you know, PK had just hired Willie, you know, probably 2 weeks before their spring game. I wasn't really expecting them to show a lot in that spring game anyway. St. Francis is hoping to be improved this year. They only won one game last year, but they didn't win any the year before. So I think that, you know, when we get to the fall, I think we'll have a better understanding of PK Young. Willie will have a better understanding of this football team, you know, when we get into the fall.
Yeah, Mike, I talked about it the other day, the new rule that came out with the FHSAA, and I probably misspoke, although I talked to several high school coaches and they were very upset about it. Can you break it down for us, what this new rule is about going to one school and playing sports at another?
Yeah, and there's a couple of them that I want to mention. And my friend Joshua Wilson of FloridaHSFootball.com wrote about this because he's been going to these meetings for years. So he's got a pretty good, you know, of course he covers high school football across the state of Florida, but it's the biggest change in 26 years. First, they reduced the number of board members. It was at 33, went down to 16. Now they're reducing it again. But these rules are going to take place effective July the 1st. The first one is it authorizes charter school students, non-member private school students, and FLVS full-time public program students to participate in extracurricular activities at a private school. An example, as Josh states, would be a student who wants to play football at Trinity Catholic in Ocala, but attends the village's charter school as a student. So that would make that change permissible. But I think the one that you're talking about, Shane, I don't like it either, but it authorizes a public school student who is participating in a sport or activity and who transfers to another school to continue participating in that sport or activity at his or her previous school through the remainder of the school year. So as an example, Josh cites this example. If you started the school year at Hawthorne and you played football, but then you decided to transfer to Eastside High School in Gainesville for academic purposes. Previously, that student would have to transfer to the school and join that school's football team. But instead, now, with this new rule, you can continue playing football at the school you just left. So I don't like it, but, you know, I don't know. We'll see how it goes, and I can see how coaches would be upset about that. But yeah, lots of changes coming with this new bill that Ron DeSantis signed, the HB House Bill 225.
Yeah, I'm not happy about that at all. I absolutely think that's one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard. Let's go back to the first example you gave. You said that if a kid was going to the Villages as a student could play football at Trinity Catholic?
Yes.
Okay, but
one of the class.
But the Villages plays football, so I mean, I guess it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what school you go to. You can go somewhere else and play athletics.
Yes, it basically states it authorizes charter school students, non-member private school students, to participate in extracurricular activities at a private school. So it has to be a private school for that one.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Well, it's a mess. Not happy about that one at all.
Right.
It is absolutely nuts. Mike, so what does Mike Ridaught have going on now that high school sports have kind of ended? You're going to start preparation for high school football now?
Well, you know, we're going to actually stay busy at least through the month of June, Shane, because, you know, I mentioned the track and field finals. They were last week. We have our inaugural Bossart Realty all-area track and field teams that we'll be releasing in June. We've already submitted nominations to coaches for baseball and softball. We'll have our all-area baseball and softball teams coming up in the month of June. So really, you know, we stay pretty busy at least through the month of June. And then, heck, you know, by the time we get to July, we're looking at putting together a media day for high school football. and then that'll start the countdown to the new school year. So I'll get a little bit of a break, but it's still going to be pretty busy. Hey, one more thing, Shane. The NFHS network, for those who have not heard about this, or the NFHS rather, last Monday, they have implemented a nationwide rule change for high school basketball. This will be for girls and boys. There will no longer be a 1-and-1. Now, in the bonus will occur after the 5th foul instead of the 7th personal foul, but they will reset the number of fouls at the end of each quarter. Normally, you would have a full half that you would play with your fouls, and then, you get that 10th foul and you get the double bonus. Well, now players get free throws, 2 free throws, and as you can imagine, some area coaches don't like the new rule. They kind of feel like it'll slow down the game. Kids are getting 2 free throws, and kind of rewards kids, to shoot an extra free throw. So we'll see how that change will be implemented next school year as well. But no more 1-and-1 for high school basketball.
That's crazy. Okay.
Yeah.
I got to go back to the rule. Let's do another scenario here just to make sure I'm understanding. Let's say Luke Matthews enrolls at Gainesville High. He's in the Cambridge academic program. Okay. Let's say he plays football there. All right. Then let's say basketball season comes around and he wants to go play at the Rock. Well, the Rock, let's take Rock out. They're not part of FHSA. Let's say he wants to go play basketball at Eastside. He can still go to school at GHS, but play basketball at Eastside, according to this new rule, correct?
I mean, that's the way that I'm kind of understanding it.
Okay.
Go ahead.
And then baseball season rolls around. He's still a student at GHS. Can he go play baseball at Buchholz?
That's a good question, because we've seen with the transfer rules, and I've made this comment for years, a couple of years now, that I would not be shocked if a guy wanted to go play football at one school, basketball in another, and baseball in another. We've already seen guys play 2 different sports at 2 different schools in the same school year. So like I think you said it best, it's a mess. I didn't like it when they made those changes. I don't like these changes that they're making. I don't know. I would love to hear people talk about why it is a positive. I just don't get it.
Wow. Crazy stuff. Mike, let everybody know how they can check you out on Twitter and read all your stuff at Main Street Daily News.
I appreciate it. It's at Ridaught, RIDAUGHT, and also MainStreetDailyNews.com. Among the things that you'll find at MainStreetDailyNews.com, I mentioned the Brantford State Championship game. I had a recap from that one. A couple of Buell's football players are going to the next level, including one guy to the University of Florida. Brian Rosenberg will be a preferred walk-on. They also had a basketball player that signed with a Division III college. Just some of the things that you'll find online. Santa Fe's high jumper Kyron Washington has signed with the University of Oklahoma. That's online. So a lot of good stuff we'll be putting up daily at MainStreetDailyNews.com.
Good stuff, Mike. Appreciate your time, my man.
You're welcome. Thank you, Shane. I appreciate it. Have a great summer, man.
You too. That's Mike Ridaught joining us on the Titan More Hotline. Going to take a quick time out, come back, get to more of these text and Facebook Live questions. You're watching and listening to PodUp with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios.
We want to take this moment to thank our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, the only official injury and accident law attorneys of the Florida Gators. Peaceland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise.
Campus USA Credit Union.
QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Dave & Buster's, eat, drink, play, and watch. Our gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Celebration Point Town Center, Chris Doring Mortgage, Silverback Concrete Co., Ruse Ogre State Farm Insurance, Doreen Wibby, Realtor Caldwell Banker, MM Parish. Our touchdown sponsors are Adams Ribs, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Okido America, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Big Mills Cheesesteak, McDonald's of Gainesville, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, Aver and Smith, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, Silver Q Billiards and Sports Bar. If you're interested in promoting your business on the show, call Freddie at 352-284-3733. If you like what we're doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Hi, Steve Spurrier here. You know, making a reservation at my restaurant is easier than a Saturday afternoon homecoming game against Vandy. You don't have to call or email. Just go to spurriers.com, hit the reservation button, pick a date, a number of guests, and a time. It's so simple, I can do it. In fact, I just did. Maybe I'll see you tonight.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Chris Storing Mortgage, they do mortgage lending right, helping home buyers throughout Gainesville and North Central Florida. Call Chris Storing Mortgage today at 352-244-0840. I want to thank Brent, Beaird, and Mike Ridaught for joining us on the Titan MR Hotline today's program. Let's get to this day in sports, brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union. Put some star power to work in your financial life with Campus USA Credit Union. For all our Minnesota Twins fans out there, in 1997, the Twins retired Kirby Puckett's number 34. That's brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union. Facebook Live brought to you by Metal Law. Mike says, Shane, do you think we have enough pitching to win this tournament? We probably won't get to see Neely until next weekend. I don't know if we have I don't know if anybody in the SEC has enough pitching to go through an SEC tournament, quite honestly. So if you win it, great. If you get bounced here in a couple of games, no big deal. All that matters is the regional play next week. This is kind of like fun. Go out, compete, try to win. But Sully will not. I can promise you Sully's not going to put anybody in danger to try to win an SEC tournament. Not in danger, but just waste them or tire them out or what have you. So, yeah, a lot of people here are talking about the FHSA. Yeah, it's absolutely nuts. I don't know why anyone in the world would think that makes sense. I still didn't quite understand the Villages one, unless the Villages charter school is different than the Villages high school. Because the Villages High School it might be the best facility in the entire state of Florida. I don't know if y'all have ever been there, but they're building a new one, by the way. A new school with a new football state, everything. It is unbelievable. But they play sports. So I'm not sure about, I don't understand all the rules. Anyway, it's crazy, crazy, crazy. Peachland Dentistry, Gator Nation's #1 choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte surrounding areas. Visit them at peachlanddental.com, and JC and I's Peachland Dental picks this weekend for the golf tournament in Fort Worth, Texas. He has Kevin Kisner, Jordan Spieth, and Colin Morikawa. I took Justin Rose, Kurt Kitayama, and Sunjay M. So Gator baseball plays Vanderbilt. Should be a heck of a competitive game. It's supposed to be first pitch at 8:30. Highly doubt it. I don't know if the SEC tournament has ever stayed on schedule. Think about it. The Gators went into extra innings last night. The game before that, Arkansas and A&M went into extra innings. I don't know what time the Auburn-Vanderbilt game ended last night. I did not watch any of it. I can't stay awake that long. All right, let's see what we got here on Facebook Live before we get out of here. Joseph says, how do you get tickets to Omaha? Can you just buy them off like Ticketmaster or something? I would assume so, Joseph. I would probably go ahead and try to buy them now if you can. And then if the Gators, for some reason, don't make it, you probably can resell them to the teams that are attending the event, I would think. That's a good question. I'm sure Dan and some of those guys that have been could tell you, because I don't know what kind of allotment each school gets. And they get it so quickly that I don't know if fans would have time to schedule to buy the tickets and then get your hotel rooms and all that kind of stuff. You know, for parents that are going, it's no big deal because their tickets are free. So I don't know. It's a good question, but I'm sure Dan and some of our other listeners that have been could let us know. Hope you enjoyed today's program. We appreciate y'all chiming in. I really do. Thank Brent and Mike Ridaught. Some people don't like to talk high school sports. I'm big into high school sports. I think those kids need the coverage, and he does a phenomenal job. Have a great day, folks, and we will see you tomorrow. Take care.